right, welcome to the Daily Grind. My name's Kelly, and we are on episode 5, which is crazy. I have a special guest here today on this episode, so I'd like to kind of introduce her right away, Eugenia Sanchez. She's originally from Venezuela, and I've known her since her time she moved to Chicago last year. Started working at Wilson Sporting Goods. Before she started working in our tennis division, she attended and played college tennis at Cameron University in Oklahoma and the University of Texas Permian Basin. Has worked on various teams, grassroots promotions, product, now is in sales and marketing, huge fitness enthusiast, world traveler, and overall great personality. So let's give a round for Eugenia. Woohoo!
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me here, though.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, Eugenia. So listeners, Eugenia and I, we've had our background together, or we met basically at Wilson, and since then she's actually not located in Chicago anymore. She recently moved overseas. So Eugenia, you want to tell our listeners maybe about like your experience and what's up in your neck of the woods?
Well, let's say that right now I'm in Germany, the other side of the world, pretty much. I mean, it could be way farther though, but yes, let's say that I'm probably a couple of hours ahead of you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before getting here, it's been a huge journey. I was not just in Chicago. I also had the chance to live in Texas, in Oklahoma. Now I'm in Munich. However, I'm also a Spanish citizen, so I can say that I'm kind of like a citizen of the world or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been a journey. I just moved here actually a couple of months ago. It's been a completely new experience to me, and I think something we can dedicate this podcast about is like first timers, like the first time you do a lot of things, because it's something I completely feel related with in how my life have become the past 2 months. So yeah, that's a little bit about my life and all the places I've been through.
Sure. Yeah. I guess maybe like the first question I'd have, or probably our listeners too that are following us right now, like from your transition from before just graduating college to Chicago, Illinois. So how'd you come about Chicago, and then what was like was that your first time in Illinois or?
Well, yes. Actually, it was my first time in everything. My first time in Oklahoma, my first time in Texas, my first time in Chicago. Actually, that could be a good name for this episode. First timers.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I okay. So I play tennis. I guess that's a good way to start. I played tennis my entire life. That was actually my to go door to go study to the States. I first got on a scholarship to apply for Cameron University, where I stayed for 2 years, and then I decided to transfer to the University of Texas of Permian Basin, actually, which is a D2 school. I stayed there for another 2 years. Is where I graduated from. One of the probably best experience of my life, being a student athlete. I studied. I got a degree from communications and marketing. I have always wanted to do PR, although it's not really what I'm doing right now. But so that's a little bit my shift before moving to Chicago. I applied. I was very lucky that I got the opportunity to be part of the Wilson team for a summer at the beginning. I applied to do an internship where I got to meet you actually.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky. I got this possibility. It probably started a huge new pattern in my life where, I moved to Chicago again for the first time, Illinois for the first time. It was all new to me. I started in the South, moving to the north of the country. It's a completely new story, right? It's just like two different little cultures in the same place. So and then I stayed there for a year. Met amazing people like you, developed great friendships. It was an amazing experience, but Well, for obvious reasons, I had to leave the country, and now I'm here, which is also a great experience as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely from going from the south to the north, so you experience different weather conditions. You were actually even in our like polar vortex when we had that earlier this earlier this year in the snow, in the wind, the rain, craziness. So yeah, now in Germany, is that is there a different, obviously another different culture, different weather conditions? Like, is there any like big noticeable changes since moving out there?
yeah, yeah. Honestly, well, first of all, I do not speak German at all. I think
Mhm.
that's something very important that I should clarify to the audience.
Mhm.
That's the biggest impact I felt. Like
Mhm.
the communication barrier. I mean, at some point, I really felt that maybe the English
Mhm.
was a problem when I lived in the States, but now I realize that not at all. In here, I'm not even able to order when I go to a restaurant.
Mhm.
It's been 2 3 months. I mean, sorry, it's been what, like 2 months since I moved, and
Mhm.
I already know how to say thank you,
Mhm.
please, I'm sorry, hi.
Mhm.
This very little words, but it's hard to communicate, and as you can
Mhm.
see, I'm a very communicative person.
Yes. Mhm.
I like to talk, and I like to meet, and I like to see how people is feeling, and I like to. So I feel very limited, and it's a little bit frustrating. However, now one of my life projects is I'm gonna start learning German, which
Mhm.
is a very important, hard and important language for now, for just to live nowadays in the world, and
Mhm.
mainly in business. It
Yeah.
means a lot if you learn a third language, and even more in here in Europe, where everybody speaks 3 4 5 languages.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot.
so
Mhm.
so yeah, I think the biggest obstacle is being the language, the communication barrier, and being able to communicate with the other people.
Yeah, I forgot to touch too, or on the introduction. Eugenia, very big, I'd say, big foodie. So yeah, when you mentioned trying to order at a restaurant, so different cuisines too. Is it very obviously very German, authentic foods out there? Is there anything like any favorites you have so far, or things that you want to try?
Yes, yes, I'm very happy you touched that point. That's precisely what I was jumping to.
Mhm.
I guess the second biggest obstacle is the food.
Mhm.
Wow, German gastronomy is is definitely something totally different I have seen.
Mhm.
First of all, they don't really have gastronomy. I will say, like they don't they do a lot of. They have their own meat. They mix a lot of the meats, though.
Mhm.
They eat a lot of pork,
Mhm.
which they mix with a lot of beef. And they eat a lot of potatoes, and I'm not, well, as you know, I'm not vegetarian and
Mhm.
nor vegan,
Mhm.
but this is not probably my favorite type of food.
Mhm.
Besides, I mean, as probably most of the listeners know, Germany is known because of the beer, and I
Yeah.
do not like beer at all either. So yeah, that's definitely not good to things. As well as they everything has bubbles in here. Every drink
Mhm.
has bubbles,
Mhm.
and since I was a kid, I never liked bubbles. So
Mhm.
you actually, it's funny because if you go to a restaurant and you
Mhm.
ask for water, you have to specify that you want still water. You don't want out. So, which is crazy, right? I mean, I will
Yeah,
say that the
sparkling
normal
water.
thing is like normal water, right?
Mhm.
But no, yeah, those things actually being tough as well. It's just like, I want to be able to just get something without having to explain it in English. Or it's
Mhm.
funny, I'm all the way around translating in my phone,
Mhm.
trying to just read German without really speaking it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been a survival in here.
Mhm. Do you try to cook stuff at home, or do you go out, or is it common to go more out
Well,
for you?
Munich is a little bit expensive actually.
Mhm.
It's obviously different than the States or even
Mhm.
Chicago, but in some of the prices, it reminds me of how expensive Chicago is.
Yep.
Obviously Chicago is way more expensive.
Mhm.
It's not really a point of comparison.
Mhm.
But it is very expensive. So by now I haven't really gone out to eat
Mhm.
as often.
Mhm.
It's more as a privilege right now to
Mhm.
to go out. So I do cook a lot at home. Things here are super fresh. I mean, super fresh, and they actually get that very faster, way faster than they use in the States. So yeah, I mean, I like cooking. I'm in this new mood of like trying new things. They have several pastas, very fresh chickpeas pastas, and it's fun. Yeah. When I go to the supermarket, it takes me like 2 or 3 hours while I translate everything and make sure that's what I want to buy. I already make so many mistakes. I try to buy so many things, and then it's not what I'm looking for. But it's fun actually. If you look the bright side of it, you find it as a game, so you're trying to see how far you can get and what can you get, and it's been fun. It's been very fun and active, and I'm actually happy. I'm not gonna just say the bad food. They also have pretzels, and the pretzels are amazing. I do love pretzels.
I was just gonna ask on that. I was like, have you tried any of the pretzels out there? Those are pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I know my grandma used to make potato pancakes. I've had those before. I haven't been to Germany yet.
Amazing. Yeah, honestly, pretzels and bread in general, whatever is coming from corn, it's obviously it's amazing. Like I love bread, and that's actually a downfall too, I will say, because I mean I cannot be eating bread every day, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's like super fresh out there. How about like public transportation too? Do you like walk to work? Do you take a train?
I do. It's very it's I will say it's a big city. It's very countryside. However, I think that's one of my favorite things about Munich. It has the best from both worlds. I will say, it's very countryside. There's a lot of green, a lot of corn, and a lot of. You're like, wow. For a second, you forget you're in a city, right? Even more, even if you go to the suburbs, it's just like, where am I right now? But then it's also a big city. It's a powerful city in this economy, and Munich is Germany. It's first world country, one of the biggest and most important in Europe right now. So it's a very interesting version, and the public transportation is also a good perk of it. It's very good. It's huge. The public transportation here. They have tram, they have train, and they have subway, and they have buses, and each of them has their own like rings, as how, for example, Chicago, we have the red line, the different colors, right? I don't know how many, like 6 or 7.
Yep.
Well, multiply that times 2 or 3 in regards like how the system works in here. Like it's just huge. It's
oh, wow.
It's a stupid, and actually it gets a little bit hard to understand it at the beginning. Even the stations, it's hard to remember them because they're like obviously completely in German, So it's just hard to remember them, and you're like, at the beginning I used to get lost all the time. I will pass my stations all the time. It will take me like twice as long to get to somewhere, but it's also fun. It's summer, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful here in the summer. A lot of rivers, a lot of camping, a lot of hiking, actually. I guess we're going to jump to that soon.
Yeah.
But a lot of things I never did before, and it's been great. I'm very happy.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. A lot of first time experiences. I was just going to ask you about things to do out there. I know first time experience, we were talking earlier about like your hiking. So maybe if you want to jump into that, Eugenia, I think that's she talked about earlier or off our podcast. I think it was last week or the week before, you went on a big like adventure. So can you tell us more?
Okay. Yes, of course. I was super happy. Okay, so let's say I guess it's very important talking about kind of like my background. I'm very active. I was a tennis player. I mean, kind of. And I just get, I like tennis. I like to do new stuff, and I like exercise in general. I go to the gym and all this, but I never really did any outside or outdoor type of activity, like ski or, I'm from the Caribbean, so we didn't really do these things, right? Like a week ago, we had a holiday weekend, a long weekend, and one of my French friends, he says, Eugenia, you want to hike tomorrow or something like that, right? It was like 24 hours before or something. And I was like, I mean, yeah, why not? First hike ever. Sounds good. I like to do bucket list. And this place was in my bucket list. So I was just like, sure, it sounds like a great excuse to just, go ahead and try it out. So it was a group of four boys and myself, just I explained him, no, but I'm not experienced at all. Is this something I could do? Like, do you think I can do this? I don't know. And he goes, yeah, I mean, it will take us like 6 hours to get to the top of the mountain, but I think it's going to be easy. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, in the office, we have some samples we can use for hiking, but that weekend there was anybody in the office, so I couldn't get any type of equipment to go, right? So I just made sure I had the food I needed and the water I needed for the trip. So when I get to the trip, all I know by then, right, it's called Zugspitze. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but that's the name of it. I know that it's like a beautiful, it's the highest mountain in Germany. It actually borders with Austria, right? And I'm like, okay, it's just probably gonna be great. I never been in Austria either. Like, again, first time for everything, right?
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds interesting, but I'm pretty sure that I needed to do some research before, because effectively I started my hike. I'm in the bottom of the mountain, and my friends tell me, the boys were like, hey, we're going down there. And they just like point with their fingers where were we going, and it's literally the top of the mountain. And when I saw that, I was like, are you guys kidding me? And they're like, no, we're actually going all the way on top. And I was like, shoot, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do this, but I did not say anything. All right, we were going to like 3,000 meters of altitude on top of the mountain, right? I mean, I should say in feet, but I kind of like don't know how to. I will have to do the math, but people can do the math kind of. So, well, we started the trip, and at the beginning it was super beautiful, right? It was literally like the accent was like 2,015 meters, which it means like the inclination. The inclination was super tough as well. So in the beginning, the inclination was super like rough, and by the first or the second hour, I was already like tired. My oxygen, I was lacking oxygen. I was already getting tired, and I was already doubting. I mean, I was thinking I won't be able to make this. I was already planning an excuse to tell the boys, okay, I'm coming back. I'll see you in the car. I would just wait for you there, And
yeah,
I was like, okay, it's fine. I will figure it out. We woke up like at 4 a.m. We met like at 5:30, and we started hiking at 7:30 a.m. Right? So this happened like at 9:30 or 10 a.m. We started walking. I mean, we kept going. I kept going. We passed the border with Austria. That for some reason was super exciting for me. I was like, oh my god, I'm just in a new country right now. Like when you're in the States, in like the border with Canada or something. I experienced that as well when I worked in Maine, and it's also, I don't know, it's like fun, I guess. So I don't know. Yeah. Here the road was like very calm. It was way better. We didn't have as much inclination. There was a lot of green, and the views started to be amazing. So I got distracted. I started thinking how tired I was or how much we had left. I started enjoying, and we started getting breaks. Right. When I realized we were like 5 hours in.
Oh gosh.
And yes, I was tired. I was a little bit. I think the fact of being distracted because you're having like a challenging route in front of you makes the time goes faster. We were in very, very small routes climbing the mountain. Like we had to grab like like ropes next to the mountain so we wouldn't fall, you know.
Yeah. Is
I
there?
started getting a little bit anxious by this point because I was
Mhm.
like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, you know. I don't know about anything about this hike. The guy that was leading the hike, like, I don't know if he was like, if he knew where we were going, you know.
Mhm.
But I decided to keep going. I was like, I think if I'm just cautious enough, I will be able to keep
Yeah.
going, you know.
Is the path that you were on, was it like gravel? Was it more dirt?
It
Rocks?
was it was everything. It was everything. We started in grass, and then we moved to rocks, and then we moved to I would say more like rocky mountains. I don't know how to explain it, kind of
Mhm.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
As you
yeah, it was very unstable like floor, you know.
Yeah, as you kept on going up the incline, did the temperature change too, or
Yes. It started getting super super cold there.
Mhm.
I mean, nothing like Chicago. I think Chicago
Mhm.
prepared me well.
Yay.
But yeah, I started getting. But you know, you're doing a physical activity, so
Mhm.
that keeps your body warm.
Mhm.
But as soon as you stop to get a snack or something, you could feel like the cold.
Mhm.
However, I will say that my biggest challenge was at the end. And I don't mean it because of how tired I was. It was because of how the route changed. We got to literally the last part of the route. It was like the last quarter, I will say.
Mhm.
And, my friends are like, yeah, Eugenia, cool, we're almost there. I was tired. The boys were like waiting for me all the time. I was making breaks, but they understood, like they were tired too.
Yeah.
But here's where I got super scared.
Mhm.
We got to be like in a wall, literally in a climbing wall, like where I was not really 90 degrees inclination. It was not 90, but it was almost 90, and I literally needed my hands to be able to grab the rocks. And the thing that scared me the most is that I saw how the people's equipment. They had like the
Mhm.
shoes, they had like the little ropes people use to
Mhm.
to grab like these things you put in like your legs to
Yeah.
grab your body and to grab the ropes.
To get more grip on the rock. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And they even had helmets.
Yeah.
I was in running shoes, okay? The running shoes about actually being with you. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
those
yeah,
running
yeah,
shoes.
yeah. We went shopping together back earlier this year in Chicago. Pleasant Prairie, shout out to Pleasant Prairie Premium Outlets. I got awesome deals on footwear. So yeah, I know what shoes you're talking about. So yeah,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
I
yeah.
can confirm those are
So,
running shoes.
I was in running shoes, which it was super. I was not having a no. I was literally not ready for it. But
Mhm.
I decided to keep going. I was like, if I go back now walking, it was like a 5-hour walk.
Mhm.
So I mean, to do not make the story too long,
Mhm.
I managed to go up, but it took me like 2 hours to climb the wall.
Oh my gosh.
It
Mhm.
was scary because I was sleeping, and rocks were falling into my head, and
Mhm.
all my hands were caught, and
Mhm.
it was actually dangerous. I think
Yeah.
I took a huge risk. I
Mhm.
should have researched a little bit more before.
Mhm.
Actually, when I did my research afterwards, which is
Mhm.
not very professional, I will say,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, I realized we took the route called Austrian Snow Circle. Sorry, is Austrian Snow Cirque,
Okay.
where the starting point was in Eisbee, which is like I'm pronouncing it horrible, but it's a spell Eisbee.
Okay. Espen.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's actually the lake that is in the bottom of the mountain.
Mhm.
That's the name of it, and it's beautiful. But it was a distance of 8 kilometers, an 8-hour time to ascend, and the difficulty of the hike was from medium to difficult.
Mhm.
So, I mean, thanks God, I was fine. I managed to keep going through, and I made it to the top. I was hungry, and
Mhm.
I was a little bit still anxious. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I can't believe I just did all of that.
Mhm.
But I think it was a great like challenge to myself.
Yeah,
You
big
know, by
big
meetings of,
accomplishment.
first of all, I did something I never expected to be in the border without a German, in the German Austrian border,
Mhm.
hiking with like four French guys, you know,
Mhm.
and just, appreciating those amazing views, and I think that's the beauty of it, and I think that's the best I can get out of it. There's always a first time for everything,
Mhm.
and these type of experiences actually challenge you, and get you out of
Mhm.
your zone of comfort, and
Mhm.
put yourself in situations where you have to learn how to solve the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like to survive, and it was a great experience. And I'm actually, out of that, I want to keep hiking. I want to keep improving
Mhm.
my technique, I guess. I don't know how to say it,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it was great. It was actually a great experience, and I recommend it to anybody who likes hiking or traveling,
Mhm.
or it's just thinking about doing a trip to Germany. That's for
Yeah.
sure something they should do.
Yeah, it's such an accomplishment. Yeah, just let's roll out some. I got my stats since I'm a numbers person, obviously. So Eugenia mentioned 8K. She did walking of 8K or climbing of 8K. That's a roughly almost 5 miles of hiking out there, and then I'm just converting to American numbers. So 3,000 meters. That's about 8,900 feet. So almost
Yep.
10,000 feet in the air, which is crazy. And to put in perspective, just picking on Illinois, since I'm located in Chicago, our tallest hill, I guess you could say, is 376 meters high, Charles Mound. Shout out to anyone that's been in the Galena area. That's so you've climbed 10 times higher than our tallest height in the state of Illinois. So yeah, big kudos to you. I guess too. Yeah,
Thank you.
Eugenia.
Appreciate
So
it.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
sure if I will do it again like that, but I'm happy surviving.
Yeah. So I have a question. So how about your descent going down the mountain? How was that? Did you have to? Was it?
Good question. Good question. There's actually cable cars going there.
Okay.
It's a very touristic zone, actually. Just like, obviously tourists do not do the hike because you have to know kind of like what you're doing, which
Mhm.
is not what I did precisely, but but yeah, we went back with the cable car, which it was actually extremely expensive. It was
Mhm.
35 euros
Oh
for,
wow.
I think it's important for people to know that.
Mhm.
It surprised me. We were expecting it to be less. But anyway, we went back with the cable car. We thought, we first were very tired, and second, I think it was very dangerous for me to go back down with my running shoes.
Mhm.
It was so easy for me to fall, or to literally, it was very easy to have an accident over there. So
Mhm.
so yes, I think it was a very smart decision to go back getting the cable car. However, we managed to just stay in the lake downstairs, resting afterwards,
Mhm.
and it made the trip way better, just because the weather was amazing, and
Mhm.
the lake temperature was not cold at all, and I thought it was gonna be super cold.
Yeah.
So it's a great experience.
Mhm.
Actually, this route we took
Yep.
is just one out of the five. So there's people that do this like in 2 days, staying in the mountain
Mhm.
and just getting a night of sleep and just enjoying the trip.
Mhm.
This is also another option that people could do. I'm just
Yeah.
giving
Yeah. Make
giving
it.
some ideas as a touristic spot.
Yeah. Make it like a weekend trip or something. Did you run into other people climbing the mountain, or did you
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
camping out there
yeah.
too?
A lot of people was going and coming back down. Actually, we're talking about a 10-hour hike, okay? Because
Mhm.
it take you like 5-6 hours to go. We did it in 7 hours,
Mhm.
but I mean, if you're more experienced, I think you can do it in probably six or something.
Mhm.
But we're talking about 6 hours going up, 6 hours going down. So yeah. I run into a lot of people doing it.
Mhm.
As I mentioned before, it's people that they knew what they're doing. They had all the Salomon equipment,
Mhm.
all this equipment for hiking.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, it was very good. It was very good. And we chose a good day to go as well. The weather was amazing. On the top, they have
Mhm.
like places where to eat, to get like German food,
Oh, nice.
you know, a lot of sausages, hot chocolate, beer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little restaurant, so on top is very nice as well. Like you could check it up online and
Yeah, that's really cool. You probably had a really beautiful view too, outlooking at the top. I guess as a first timer, let's say if I were to go on a hike or something, or any of our listeners, like what would you pack for like that day trip, like a small backpack.
yes. Okay, so I think I'm gonna say two things. One, I'm gonna say a couple of things I think I did wrong, and a
Sure.
couple of things I think I did right.
Yeah.
Starting from the wrong things. Um, well, I think I mean, it's more than obvious that my equipment wasn't it was I didn't have the appropriate equipment though.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously the first thing. Make sure you have all the equipment you need, by meanings of shoes, maybe a light jacket that it's gonna it's gonna cut the wind and you won't feel cold on the top.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, my backpack, it's amazing. Everything fits in there. I love my backpack, but however, it was a little bit too big.
Mm-hmm.
So by climbing, I'd struggle when I was already tired, having that weight on my back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I had to exchange my backpack with one of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I could actually finish the route because I was obviously having problem with my back already. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe making sure that the size of your backpack is appropriate. You know, there's actually backpacks for hiking, but you know, you can maybe compare the sizes with them. And the things I did right, and I think is one of the things people should make sure they do right precisely, is first the food you bring. I bring several type of snacks in little meals
Mm-hmm.
to eat every so often. First, I had a very good breakfast when I woke up in the morning. I got a very good protein shake before going on top.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, I brought a lot of dry nuts, fruit to eat with the dry nuts. And I made myself. I like to do pancakes. You know that I'm all the time doing pancakes. So I did a couple of pancakes to eat in the way. And also a very very good sandwich that I ate when I got to the top. You know, when you get to the top, you're in deficit in a very huge caloric deficit, and you just want to destroy everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe snacks and water are the most important things because it's what you need to recover when you take breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Granola bars, maybe some energy drinks. Same that whatever you will do when you're doing a physical activity, you know.
Yeah, how they should feel. Mm-hmm.
And then, well, obviously, in you know how the sun that hits the mountains, it really burns you very bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say sunscreen is also important when you get to the top, and maybe some gloves in case you have to climb, as I did, or if it gets cold, of course. So yeah, there's quite of a checklist people should make sure they bring without overpacking themselves. You know,
chapstick,
of course, very important chapstick. Maybe even sunglasses. Well, even honestly, even something to cover your head or somehow, because there's people on top of you climbing or walking.
Yeah.
That if they like step wrong, their rocks will hit your face or hit your head, and that's dangerous. So I even learned how to get like a distance, a proper distance with the person in front of me. You know,
you wear your surroundings.
Yeah, it was a day of full learning, but obviously it was a great experience. Like I do not regret it at all.
Yeah, that's really great experience. First timer, something new, something challenging, and like you said too, you're motivated to try out another mountain or go somewhere else too. Do you have any like upcoming, I guess, travels or looking to do later this year maybe, or to conquer?
Well, yes. I have a couple of trips on mine. Some with work, some just recreational. For my physical. For the, I guess, sports perspective,
sure.
I still wanna let's start. Well, as you know, I started running a couple of months ago. Not anything too crazy. I'm just doing 5 to 10 miles at some point. You know, I haven't been very consistent just because of my moving and changing lives. But that's something I still want to start picking up again, running. Maybe start signing up for races soon. Here in Europe is big as well. So I don't know. I still have as a long-term goal, maybe signing up for a marathon at some point when I'm ready to go. So that's for sure something coming up. Not really in a specific date, but you know, as a life goal.
Yeah, like a bucket list item you want to check off and do and accomplish.
Exactly. Second, I would say I want to do more outdoor stuff as hiking. You know, I still want to try ski, snowboarding. It's something I already tried when I was a kid just once, but it's something I still have in the back of my head that I want to try. You know, maybe just once or twice. Maybe it's not the thing for me, but I think it's something I really want to do at some point in my life, just to be, just to say I did it. You know, I tried it and I managed to have that feeling. And that's something in Europe, it is going to be quite easy to achieve. And for sure, my third thing is traveling in Europe. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be in Europe, if I'm going to stay here forever, if I'm going to settle here, or if I'm coming back to the States. But by the time I'm here, I want to get the best out of it and just to travel as much as I can, even for weekends or for, I don't know, for longer periods of time. But I think that's for sure one of the advantages that Europe has. It's just so easy and so cheap that it's so much worth it. So I have these three little things going on in my head. They're still there. So yeah, I mean, I will say, yeah, I want to work hard for those three and see what happens, you know, from there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really great to have personal goals ahead of you and something to look forward to or something to work towards. When you mentioned like the 8K, I'm actually not this year, but next April, I'm traveling to a wedding out North Carolina area, and shout out to my friend Megan. We're gonna try to do an 8K or a 16K race together. So that's something I'm trying to work towards eventually. And then I'm not sure if I told my listeners already. I'm more. You guys know I'm a runner. Kelly Fat #KellyFast. Marathon. Marathoner. Eugenia can attest. When we were roommates back in Chicago, I ran the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon. I qualified for the Boston, so I'm actually signing up for the Boston Marathon. The registration opens up in September, so looking to do that for 2020. So that's another goal of mine. So yeah, just have personal goals, something to work towards, whether they're fitness related or non-fitness related. To be honest, I think even with Eugenia, your climb that you did, that definitely motivates you to work hard and utilize your strengths that you use outside of work to accomplish other things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both agree on this. Like, I think either for you and me, like doing fitness is just like a way of getting your mind out of things. To kind of like recentering yourself. For example, in my case, my life has been a little bit all the way around the place, right? With all these moves, moving in different from and to different cities, it always gets me at some point lost, kind of thing, by meanings of what I'm doing here until when I'm gonna be here. So in my case, fitness in general, being active is what it's keeping me back to my center. And being my way to find my way back to who I am, to what I like, or sometimes just to not think, right? And I think that the whole message for our listeners is we all have to find this little thing that will make us go stay, and stay active and stay working on our goals, or to at least help us find a clearer way to figure out what we want, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, why you haven't spoke? I think you haven't say anything about how you did last week. I believe.
Sure,
I
yeah.
think you had some stuff happening last week, didn't you?
Yeah, so I had my Chicago triathlon over the weekend on Sunday. So that was a first timer for me. So that was my first Olympic triathlon I've ever done in my entire life. It was again like Eugenia's experience. It was a bucket list item for me, so I wanted to check it off, and I accomplished it. After competing on Sunday afternoon, after doing it, I felt really good, felt really motivated, and I felt strong to, now I can focus on more running or other things I want to get done or achieve through the rest of this year or next year. So I think just all the training that built up to that. Definitely, like you mentioned too, I had some things I did wrong, and there's other things that I did right that helps me help overcome some of the challenges from training or even from doing the triathlon. So I could probably even touch on things that shouldn't have done. Well, I know right away, or I guess best practices, having a road bike or even a tri bike made it really good to do for a triathlon or people getting into doing triathlons. Also, another
Was
good.
this your first time, right?
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah. So this is my first time doing an Olympic one. I did for my training. I did like a sprint triathlon, which is a shortened version of the triathlon. It's instead of a 10K run, it's only a 5K run, and then they shorten the bike distance and the swim distance as well. And so that was kind of a even too from a running standpoint. When I was training for my marathon, I tried to do a half marathon or shorter distance races just to kind of simulate I wouldn't say game day but race day basically.
yeah.
So that it helps build confidence on what you're doing and competing in. So yeah, good practice was for me to do that sprint try just to kind of get kind of accustomed to doing like transitioning from the swim to the bike and the bike to the run and simulating waking up super early to get ready to start the race. Because with the triathlons, they had the transition zone opened up at like 4 a.m. on Sunday. I didn't get there exactly at I didn't get there exactly at 4, but I got there just after 5 o'clock after they didn't have the swim portion because of the weather in Chicago was super windy and the water was really choppy, so it made it unsafe for participants to swim in. So they, instead of doing the 0.9 mile swim, they shortened it to a 0.75 mile run right away, and then you went into the bike and the regular running portions of the race, which made it a little bit different, but it was something that was thrown across me. And you know what? I'm just going to overcome it and still stay focused on the end result in mind, which is competing in the triathlon. So that was another thing. So making sure to have your alarm set, having being well prepared, having all your gear ready. I packed my gear bag of the triathlons I had, like energy gel, a bar. I had my water. I packed transition clothes. So I packed like a extra tank top for the bike and the run portion. Made sure my bib was ready. I had my running shoes, socks, sunblock. All your like running biking gear. So I made sure to plan ahead to make sure I had everything ready to go so I could just get that, just drop off my bag at the transition part and then head more towards the start line. I guess things I missed out on maybe, or I could have done, I think I could have done more training in regards to maybe the swim portion. Even though they didn't have the swim on Sunday, I probably swam probably 1 to 2 times a week. I did an open water swim in Lake Michigan, but I didn't do swimming like every day. One, I just didn't have enough time in my schedule. And two, if you guys listened to one of my previous episodes, on one of my bike training bike rides I had, I actually, on the way back, I got my bike. I got someone on another bike ran into me, so I got super scraped up and bruised, and I had blood gashes and everything. So I didn't want to get that infected when I was practicing doing my swim. So I had to modify what I was doing on my swim training open water swims to adjust going into it, and then running. I think I was pretty good in the running. I have a background in running. But yeah, just being able to, first time, just being, I wouldn't say super confident, but being, don't be worried about what other people think, or
Yeah.
don't be worried
Actually,
about
besides
failing. Yeah.
besides after all of this, I think is the most important thing is, I don't know what you think, but the question I wanted to do to you is,
Sure.
how do you feel doing something for the first time? What was your feeling of just trying something new, like getting out of your comfort zone and just
Yeah.
jumping ahead, and what do you feel?
Sure. So doing something new, I was completely new to it, and I realized, um, it was something like, don't get super stressed out about making small mistakes into it, or if I don't get if I miss my run on a couple seconds, like, don't worry about, even I compared it to tennis, or something that I'm more familiar with. Like tennis, you may lose a point or two or a couple points in a game, but you can still win a game if you're down love 40. So thinking about on the triathlon side, this new sport that I've never done before, like, you know what, I'm gonna have these small mistakes. I'm gonna, have that bike ride incident, or my shoe, like on one of my training runs, my shoes become untied. Like, those things could come up, or just like those small minor setbacks, like just retie my shoe, just like, modify my training. Yeah, so overall, I think the triathlon, me doing it for my first time, I had a really good experience, definitely memorable. Things to think about though, as a first timer, I think it was really important for me to like go outside my comfort zone, and I think that's really cool to do, not just from a triathlete perspective, but just any other activities or things you come across, whether it's traveling or trying something new. I think it's good to get out of your shell and experience something that you're not used to, and you also figure out what you like to do and what you don't like to do, and improve upon your strengths and weaknesses.
Nice. So I guess I'm gonna put it a little bit harder to you now,
Mm-hmm.
since we've been speaking about first timers and doing new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you could choose one word that will describe the feeling you had while you were doing this race, this competition, which word would that be?
Ooh, that's really tough question. I would say,
Well,
yeah.
I will make it bigger for you. Maybe 2 or 3 words, or
Okay.
maybe a short sentence. Okay,
Sure. Sure.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
flexible with you.
Yeah. I would say if it was one word, I would just say possible. If I could sum it into like a 3 words, I'd say anything is possible. In regards to, if you put your mind to it, and let's say I was no expert in regards to doing a triathlon, or being a triathlete. That was brand new sport for me. So anything is possible as long as you put your mind to it, I think, and that's probably be a really good word of the day. In addition to our first timer topics that we've discussed, because I think realistically, if you can become a master at what you want to accomplish. As long as you like study, or kind of do your research, or even just like, uh, get some tips from people outside the field, or people that have done it before. I think just all the experiences and everything that like around you basically has made it possible, and I think that's the key words for me, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually agree with you. And this is something I wanted to come up with earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing about first timers is about doing something for the first time. More than just changing your routine or something. It's just choosing something that makes you feel alive and keeps you passionate about pushing your goals, or keep refreshing and updating, like the data your system.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what I have felt in the past couple of months here in Germany, doing all these new things, like,
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know. I spoke about my river experience, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's still part
Mm-hmm.
of the podcast before.
Yeah, yeah.
After our technical difficulties,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No,
just
no.
for
It's
just to give some context to the audience, we have some technical difficulties in regards the last recording, the last part
yeah,
of the last audio. So I don't know, it was
definitely.
that part recorded or not?
Yeah, yeah. We heard your river experience. Oh wow, like
Yeah, the crazy river
Isn't it
experience. So
crazy?
what I'm saying is, I want to just use these examples as, for people out there just to try something they haven't tried. For us, is physical activities. But I believe that for people out there, it could be just simpler things, as just going to the gym for the first time, or
Mm-hmm.
cooking something they haven't cooked, baking that cake, dancing, go out, do that race, go out,
Mm-hmm.
eat that meal, go
Mm-hmm.
out, meet that person, go out, make that call. I think that's important thing, and that's what reset your
Yeah.
body, your mind, and your everything,
Mm-hmm.
to just keep going, no, and keep improving and developing yourself to be better. And you
Yeah,
think?
I think so too. I think that's really great, Eugenia. I think it's difficult in general for people to try something new or like just overall change is hard. Everyone's kind of used to their normal routine, but um, with trying a new challenge or a new activity or whatever, it adds like more spice to your life and you get something. I don't know. I think it's an extra benefit and you kind of open up to things that you haven't experienced before, and I think it overall strengthens you.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm looking forward to try new stuff in upcoming months.
Yeah.
Keep meeting new people, new places, and that's part of like the cycle of living, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna touch on like what's upcoming for you, Gina. What's on your daily grind in the months coming, or
Well, I will say I have two main things coming up soon. Hopefully, I will be able to volunteer and work for the Labor Cup in Switzerland. Not
mm-hmm.
sure, that's not for sure
Mm-hmm.
thing yet, but hopefully I will be able to go there, which it will be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I had the possibility to also help out in Chicago, so it would be great if I could just do it again one more time
Mm-hmm.
in a different country in Switzerland this year. So that would
Yeah.
be nice. That will be in September, and and then I'm also planning just a recreational trip to France, Paris, maybe in a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, just keeping it simple, achieving daily small goals from small to bigger ones, and yeah, I mean it's kind of like a day by day type of thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important just focusing in the present at some point, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's really great game plan you have there. So, listeners on our podcast, so the Labor Cup, if you're not tennis, super big tennis fanatic, I'd compare it to almost a Grand Slam. They have it every year, and they bring in, they have a Team World and they have a Team Europe. So everyone, Team Europe, and then everyone else that's outside of Europe is on the opposing side, and basically it's a weekend event, team tennis format. So you play singles and doubles. They have rosters on both ends, and they bring in some of the top ATP guys. So Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal. List goes on and on. Basically, last year they had it in Chicago, Illinois. Eugene and I were both involved in that. And they played it inside the United Center. So they converted it just into a tennis court basically for the event. So this year it's in Switzerland. Big stuff. September, like Eugenia said. Really great tennis to watch. It's probably gonna be on ESPN, other stuff. Yeah, so tennis is really hot right now. We got the U.S. Open Grand Slam event going on. I'm gonna be out at the U.S. Open for a little bit this weekend, and at the USTA semi-annual national meetings out there as well. So really great stuff. So tune in if you're a newbie to tennis, or if you're more than you're, I'd say more of a veteran and comes to huge tennis fan. Lots of good stuff going on.
Yeah, actually, yes. It's. I think it's crazy how the year it's about to be done. So not
Mm-hmm.
just in tennis, but in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I like this time of the year, right? To just reflect
Mm-hmm.
and just to think about all these things I haven't done, and I wanted to do since the beginning of the year. So I think it's a good time for everybody to start,
Yeah.
sprinting towards their goals, and just keep going, right?
Yeah, and then yeah, Eugene has the Paris trip coming up. I went to Paris a little bit earlier this year for Roland Garros, so no, I know for a fact you're gonna have a great time out there. Lots of things to do in that country or in that city in general. So really good stuff, and yeah, I can't believe it's end of August already. It's gonna be September. Uh, Dang, 2019's coming to a close soon.
Right?
So
I bet you
yeah,
didn't think about it until I say it, right?
yeah, it's crazy how
Yeah, I mean, we're
time
already in
flies.
September. My birthday is coming up as well, so that's how I know how late in the year we are.
Yeah.
Uh, so, that's what I thought. I think this podcast has, a lot of meaning when we discuss about doing things for the first time. Life is short, definitely it is, and I think we have to get the best out of it. That's what I also say, to live day by day, because there's always something good you can get out of your day, although it's hard to see sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's all about it,
I
for
agree.
our audience. Just go out there, do something different today, think about what you like, and just change. I'll be changing all the time, because that's a sense of progress.
Yeah, make the most of it. Eugene,
Exactly.
yeah, we want to thank Eugenia for being a special guest on the Daily Grind today. Eugenia, if our listeners want to follow up or if they have questions, comments on your upcoming travels, your experience in Germany, how can they do that?
Of course, if anybody would like to make any comments to discuss about something, if they have questions or anything, I can be reached in my Instagram account, which is EU Sanchez E. So I'll be more than happy to speak with everybody who wants to reach me out, and then just even just comment about anything that we have spoken today.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe on our YouTube. We recently just got into Spotify, so feel free to click follow, and you'll stay tuned to all the new episodes and current ones coming up in on the Daily Grind. So thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Kelly, and goodbye.
Bye bye. Thanks for having me here. It was very nice.